You can live in Switzerland only if you make more than $10,000 a month. This is what a lot of people think about Switzerland. But yes, here it's expensive, but not so much. You need to think that there are some type of product and services that are very expensive and some other that are not so expensive. And in this video I will break down exactly all my expenses, how much money I spend by living here in Switzerland in my own apartment, from the food, the car, the insurance, the rent and everything that you need to know in order to know exactly how much money you need to live here in Switzerland and what is the cost of living. Because yes, Switzerland is one of the most expensive country. Even in some websites is the most expensive country in the world. And here in Switzerland there are a few cities that are very expensive, more than where I live. Because I live in Tessin, in this area right here, the south of Switzerland. And here it's a little bit less expensive. But if you go on Zurich, if you go on Geneva, those are the two most expensive cities here in Switzerland and probably on the world. You can compare those prices like Beverly Hills, it's pretty much the same. And where I live it's a little bit less expensive, but it's still expensive, it's still Switzerland. And I'm going to show you exactly every single dollar that I spend in my month. And by the way, I am an entrepreneur, so I have not a normal salary, I don't earn minimum wage, but I earn good money. Pretty much above the average people here in Switzerland, because my income can change between the month. But if I look at the overall year, I have an above average income. So for me, it's not a big problem to pay the rent and pay all those stuff. But in this moment of my life, I am in a place where I need to make the most amount of money and spend a really few parts, so I can have a really big part of money that I can reinvest, I can save for emergency, and I can invest in my business in order to make more and more money in the future. So what you will see in the next minutes are the lifestyle of a frugal entrepreneur here in Switzerland. So let's start with the rent. This apartment right here, I will show you some picture on the screen. I pay $1,200 every single month for the rent, and this is a really good deal for this apartment, because a lot of apartments out there with the same price, they are not so new like this one. This one is 1 year old, it's pretty much new, and as you can see on the design, it's really good. It's not so big, but it's perfect for what I need, and it's perfect for the amount of money that I pay. And then I have also a parking included, and all the expenses like water and the expenses of the building are included in that price. So since I have two cars, I need an extra parking that I pay $80 here in my building. So as you can see, $1,280 just for the rent, for the water, for the building and for the parking. Then I have two cars. I have this one, Smart for Two, that is my business car. When I need to go to clients, I use this one. And then I have my personal car, my fun car, that is this one, the Volkswagen GTI. And for both cars, I have two big expenses every year. One is the taxes for going on the road, the taxes for the vehicle, that it's around $500, $500 to $600 for both the car. Because here in Switzerland, if you have more cars, they take the most expensive plus the 20% of the less expensive. They do the sum, and then here are your taxes for your cars. And then you need also to pay insurance for your car. And if you have one car, it's simple, you pay that one. But if you have two cars, the best part is that they do the average. So for example, if a car costs 1,000 a year and the other car costs 2,000 a year, the average is 1,500 and you will pay less. So for example, for my personal situation exactly, I pay around $800 every single year for the car insurance. for the first one and the second car, because I have one plate, one license plate that I put on a car, because if you have two license plates, those are two independent vehicles. Then the next expense that I have every month is health insurance. This is about 250 every month, and this is very low, because I know people that they pay around 400, 500 a month, and you need to understand that it's required. You need to have a healthcare here in Switzerland. You cannot live without one. And depending on the company, depending on what you want, because I always been healthy, I don't have problems, I go to the gym, I eat healthy food, and rarely I need to go to the doctor. So I've done something that I pay less every month and I have a little bit less. But if you have some more problems or some other stuff, you can pay a little bit more and have more services. But 250, 300, 350 is the average price of the health insurance here in Switzerland. Then for my cars I need fuel, and for fuel the price I spent around $80 to $200. I don't spend a lot of gas because I work from home, so I just need to spend gas for my business car when I go to the clients, but since it's a little car, it don't burn a lot of gas, and then when I have fun with friends. But you can think that 200 is the most money that I've ever spent in a month for fuel. And if you have a really big car, or if you have more cars, or if you travel a lot, you need to include a bigger budget for that. Then I like sport, and I go pretty much 3 to 4 times a week in the gym. And I have a membership in one of the most beautiful and expensive gym here in my local area, and I pay pretty much $100 a month. That it's around 1,200 every single year. And other gyms cost around 600, 800, 700 and so on. But I chose that gym and it's really great. So $100 for the gym. And then very important is food, because if you go to the local store, you buy stuff, you can spend from $400 to $600 for one person if you eat really good, because I eat chicken, I eat rice, I eat pasta, I eat healthy food. I have a diet that is very healthy food based, and by doing that I spent around $300 to $400 Swiss francs. Swiss francs are the same of dollars pretty much, so when I say Swiss francs or dollars, it's pretty much the same. And I say that I spend from $300 to $400 if I go to the grocery store and buy the stuff. But if I go outside and I want to eat, there is nothing less than $25, $30. If you want a really good dinner, you can spend easily to $50, $100 a person on a restaurant. But this is fun extra that I will show you later. So just calculate around $500 a person for the food. And then there are some services extra, for example my hair, for example if you buy some clothing, if you buy something that you need, that you can have a budget of $200 to $300 a month. For example, for cutting my hair I pay 30 francs, $30 every time, and I go once a month, for example. And if I need some clothing, I go to Zara, I go to other local shops. I am not a person that like to dress fancy. I don't have a lot of luxury clothing, but if you really like that, you know the prices. And then you need to calculate money for your fun, for your extra time, for your free time, for the weekend, because if you are frugal, if you don't want to spend, those are the main part where you need and where you should spend money. But then there is the fun. But here where I live exactly, there is not a ton of discos. It's not like Hollywood that there are a ton of attractions, a ton of restaurants, a ton of other stuff. But there are just a few disco, a lot of bars and some other stuff. But if you go out on evening, for example a mojito, it will cost you around 15 francs, $15. If you take a beer, it's around $5, 5 francs. If you take a coffee, it's 2-3 francs, dollars. And those are the prices. But you need to remember that those are the base. This is the base. So as you can see on the screen, you need this amount of money to live normal, frugal, without a lot of good stuff here in Switzerland. But if you start getting a new car and you pay, for example, $500 leasing every single month, if you go to the bar and to the disco every weekend, you need to think at least is 200 to 300 a weekend, that it's around 1,000 a month extra just for the weekend, to maybe you get one bottle or you hang out with your friends. And then maybe you want some fancy clothing, you want to buy some stuff, and you need to add an extra 1,000. And as I said before, I am an entrepreneur and my financial situation is very different from other people that are 22 years old. So for me it's very important to save money, have emergency fund, and don't buy stupid things just to show other people that I make money, just to show people that I am rich and all those stuff. It's not one of the things that I want, so I'm not here wasting a ton of money. And as you can see here, this is exactly how much money you need to live in Switzerland. My advice to you is to have more than that, because by doing that you have just the bare minimum, and then have an emergency fund, because everything can happen. You can get fired, your business can go down, you can earn less money and all those stuff. There can be problems in the world and all those stuff, so you need to have at least 10 months of your lifestyle saved up. Let's say that, for example, you spend $3,000 a month, you need at least $36,000 in a bank account that it's there. You never touch them, you keep them safe. And by doing that, you will be sure 100% to have a good lifestyle. And if you want to know more information, more details, watch this next video right here, where is the first episode of the cost of living in Switzerland. How much money you need to have to live in Switzerland. I see you there.